Here we go. We're live. All right. Hello, welcome to GameSpot's coverage of E3 2014. Day 0 is over. The conferences are done. And we are here live on GameSpot's Samsung stage for day 1 of 3 days of coverage with all the best games here in Los Angeles. I am delighted to be joined by Mr. Sean Murray of Hello Games.
Hey, man.
Old friend, good to see you again.
Yeah.
You pop up on GameSpot stuff. We get you on. We had you in the UK. We had you in the LA, in the San Francisco office as well.
Yeah.
Every time I see you, some new crazy thing has happened. And I'm watching the Sony conference yesterday, and it's like, oh, look, Sean's up on the stage, showing off No Man's Sky, a game that made a massive splash back earlier this year. First of all, what was it like for you actually stepping out on that stage with all those people there?
It was insane. It was just insane. I mean, you do this kind of thing.
Yeah.
You get on camera and stuff like that. This is not what I do.
Not-
it's not
not
what
in-
I want to do.
Not in front of that many people.
It's like, yeah, it's insane.
Yeah.
You know? Like, someone was telling me kind of, basically, millions of people were watching, like, more than the population of Ireland,
Yeah.
which is where I'm from. And you just start thinking that before you go out.
Yeah. You did a great job, though. Did you go off teleprompter at any stage? Did you kind of...
Yeah, like they had a teleprompter, and I had written a script, but then it just kind of, I don't know, emotions. You just start talking.
It seemed really genuine. It seemed like you were kind of
Yeah,
the moment was
I was like
taken
driving
over.
them crazy with the teleprompter. They were trying to follow what I was saying. Like, which bit is he on now? And you could just see all these screens going up and down.
Excellent. Okay, let's talk about No Man's Sky. You guys showed this off earlier this year.
Yeah.
Made a big splash with that trailer. The gameplay trailer you showed again this time. Used that awesome track again. Used a very similar kind of feel, the taking off. But this time you both showed all this new sort of the creatures that you created, the biospheres, and also descending into the planet. What are you trying to tell people about what No Man's Sky is in that trailer?
I think one thing, that's a good question. One thing that I really wanted to show was that this isn't just like an ambient experience, right? There's like, this is a universe, but it's one that has a lot of danger and things in it. So like, you know, on the ground there are other creatures, there's an ecology, and there's like you're not necessarily the top of the food chain kind of thing. So there's danger from that point of view, but then when you go into space isn't just empty, you know, it's really full. There are freighters, there's fleets, there's, you know, kind of pirates, space stations, military, you know, there's a real ecosystem within space as well. And I guess the other thing was just showing that it's, I don't know, seamless is a weird word, but like, it's all there. It's all real. You know, when you actually look up at that dinosaur, there's a planet behind it, and that's the planet that you end up flying down to
I didn't
later.
even notice that.
And you could see like some of those floating islands that you fly past. You could see those kind of on that planet, and it's there, it's real, it's not some skybox or whatever. And that's kind of what we wanted to get across.
Excellent. I've got a bunch of questions for you, but I want to let the folks at home know that if you have any questions at all for Sean, use at Daniel Dwyer on Twitter, and I'll pop them up here on my Twitter and ask them. But I've got loads of questions for myself. It seems to be the type of game that invites questions, that like there's seems like there's almost too much possibility. I want to talk about the stuff that's happening on the planet first of all.
Okay.
When you are like walking around exploring this planet, what are your quests? Be them like self-fulfilling quests or ones that the game is giving you?
Yeah, I guess like quests is that terrible word.
Yeah.
It's that thing that, I don't know, in my mind, as soon as somebody says it, I picture like flying down to a planet and somebody just coming up to you and saying, I've lost my 3 chickens, you know, like my space chickens. You know, they're on 3 different planets, can you find them, that kind of thing. And we, you know, lots of games have that, it's great and all that, but we just want to stay so far away from that world, right? This is like, it's not a sandbox, it's just a living, breathing universe. And there's a lot that you can get up to within it. But we're not saying, find the 3 space chickens, right? So things that you can do, like you actually see resources and things like that, you know, and you're scanning for those. Those are really valuable. You could be scouting for creatures or whatever. you could also be fighting those creatures. That could be something that you decide to do, right? Wipe out a species or whatever, you know. But then in space as well, there is so much to do. But, you know, between like trading, fighting, you know, forming allegiances, whatever you want to do within that. And we just want to create a universe that has emergent gameplay, I guess, and that the players will find that themselves. The kind of key driving force, though, is that I was saying last night that everyone starts on a different planet. Actually, the way we do that is...
I love it. It's like Scientology. Everyone gets their own planet, except at the start.
Yeah, we haven't been compared to Scientology before. I don't know if it's one that we welcome. But
Careful, you're in Los Angeles, buddy.
Okay. No, we start everyone at the outside ring of a galaxy, basically, of one galaxy. And then, you know, a core quest, I guess, if you want to put it that way, a core thing that I think people will undertake is to make the journey to the center of that galaxy.
Is that something you can do on your own, or is playing with others and like trying to help each other like part of that?
I think it's kind of naturally part of it. If you one thing that's like really key to it, right, is if you play and you're the very first player and you bring up your galactic map when you're in that galaxy, like everything will be there.
Yeah.
And you will see like everything on the map. You will be able to go to all the planets and all the suns and moons and everything like that, but they will just say unknown because nothing's been discovered yet.
Right. So the planets themselves are a known quantity, but it's like finding what's there.
You know that they're there, but you don't know whether they're hospitable. You don't know whether there's resources there. You don't know whether there are space stations. You don't know whether there are trading posts. You know, anything like that. And then as you explore more, you will find those things and you can upload that information.
Yeah.
And that map is being filled out, but not just by you, by everybody.
Yeah.
So even if you don't want to cooperate with people, they are helping you. You know, together, you know, what we find is that people are naturally building almost like routes, right? You say, where I am, there's nothing known around me.
Yeah.
But I can see over there. If I make a journey over there, there's kind of this nice plotted out route where I can see some...
So you guys seem to be very much like focusing on discovery rather than, say, economics. Like if you look at something like Eve or...
Right, exactly. You know, that's... The game is about exploration, and it's about discovery, but that's what science fiction's about.
Yeah.
You know, and science fiction, if you take Star Trek, right, you know, it is about exploration, discovery, but they still always end up in, you know, combat situations or, you know, dangerous situations. So it's not an ambient experience. It's not just exploring, looking at trees.
Yeah.
You can do that if you want. You know, but that's kind of not how I play it, right?
So let's talk about the combat then. We saw it's kind of this thing where it looks like this wonderful world to explore, and then some people might find it a little bit jarring that suddenly you're just smoking fools. Like, is the combat in the game? Is it you against AI fleets? Is it you partnering up with other people to do co-op AI, or are you fighting other players a lot?
Something that's hard to get across is that this universe is so vast.
Yeah.
That the likelihood is you're going to come across AI. We need AI to populate it.
Yeah.
Because you and I, if we're playing, you know, we won't just say, let's meet up. That doesn't make sense. We're light years apart, like literally, you know.
Could it take a very long time to get to the other side of the, like?
Yeah, like a ridiculously long time. But that's one of the reasons that you would say upgrade your ship.
Yeah.
Right? Because you want a hyperdrive, you want to be able to jump between solar systems. But yeah, you could fly endlessly, right? You know, and that's what I want. There's that story recently of that guy who like walked, you know, forever in Minecraft, basically, right? And yeah, you could totally do that, and hopefully someone will.
Yeah.
We've probably failed otherwise, right? If somebody doesn't just fly for like 5 years straight.
You want to hit an invisible wall at the end. I've got so many questions coming in. I want to come to this one from Black Mesa on Twitter. What can you tell us about the combat or dangerous situations in terms of like ground combat? Would you be protecting a planet at any stage?
So you're not. there is the ecology, right, and that's just kind of naturally there. There is, like, I'm terrible for this kind of stuff because there should be like a press plan or something like that, right?
Give us something. Give us a little something.
You know, there is, like, I guess, a malevolent force within the universe, right? So there is something that drives that emergent situation, right? That we haven't shown, and when we show it, we'll talk about it.
Okay, fair enough.
Right. But we don't want it to be, like I said, just
fodder.
Yeah.
Or something, yeah. Another question, maybe similar to that. Patrick Jacobs on Twitter asking, is there a story within No Man's Sky, or are you allowing players to create their own story?
It's absolutely that, and that's what I was saying about starting everyone on a different planet, you know? Like, everyone's story will be unique. I mean, if you and I, even if we want to, we can't have the same story. Right?
Yeah.
You know, our experience and what you'll have seen when you're playing it, I will want to know about it, you know, because I will probably never get to experience it. You know, I found this or I saw that or whatever. You know, I'm this type of planet, this type of creature, and I'll play I can play for hundreds of hours and I will never see that.
Yeah.
You know, I will never visit the planets that you've been to. That's just how.
But I want you to come visit my planet.
Yeah.
A lot more questions about the soundtrack. Obviously, you're using that song from 60 Days of Static. What are you going to do in terms of the soundtrack for the final game? You're going to work with other bands?
So actually, the kind of montage thing that we did at the end, that's 65 days as well.
Okay, cool.
And we've kind of become friends with the guys.
Yeah.
They were mailing me last night and congratulating me and stuff. We actually wanted them to play live last night.
Oh, wow.
And we, like, cancelled it, like, 2 days out.
Okay.
Right, because nobody was prepared for it, basically. And there was no time for rehearsal and things like that. And when I came into the Sony conference, you know, when I met the team for the first time, because we've been in the UK and just talking to them on the phone, I came into the stadium and they were like, hey, guys, these are the guys who wanted a live band.
Really?
Yeah.
Brilliant. You became infamous.
Yeah, these idiots. Right? But yeah, we really wanted that. And they're going to be, I hope, really closely linked with the game, right?
Thematically, it seemed to be a real good hook, or what you guys are showing visually as well. Another question, Stephanie L. Is having a base, customizing it and such possible in No Man's Sky? So you'll obviously be customizing your ship. Will there be other things you'll be customizing?
What we want people and to encourage people to do is to go on a journey. This is not about just staying on one planet.
Okay.
You know, setting up a shop or whatever. I think some people will, but that's not core to the game, right? I'd be slightly disappointed if everyone just started up on their planet and then didn't see
it's like, I don't want to be involved in this space war. I quite like this planet, yeah.
It's nice and chilled out here.
Yeah, it's another question that's kind of coming to my mind is that, like, it looks a bit like, I don't want to make too many comparisons, but like FTL, for instance, a game where you were compelled for some reason to continue to get to your endpoint. Hypothetically, how long could that endpoint be? And would you, if you got there, would you be encouraged to stay, or would you want to go back from the start and try again?
So it's, you know, go back to the start, try again. It's not that type of game.
Okay.
Right? It's not, you know, the idea of levels, quests, all that, like, throw that out, right? You can play forever, like, obviously. You know, it's. I know that's a little bit mind-blowing because it's infinite, you know? This is the really weird thing, right? You can play for 1 million hours, right? And the amount that you will have seen in that time is still infinitesimally small. You know, any number you divide it by infinity, it approaches zero, right?
So what you seem to be doing is just diving into science fiction literature and, like, 3 a.m. I'm drunk and I'm reading about astrophysics on Wikipedia and it's melting my brain and trying to turn that into a game.
Yeah, something like that. A little touch.
So So the multiplayer then, in that respect, it almost seems like will coming across somebody else be like a moment? Will it be something that happens all the time in day-to-day gameplay, or will it be like something you'll actually have to, like, put time into trying to do?
In terms of multiplayer, you know, like, we're not building an MMO. That isn't the type of game that we're making, right? Like, it's almost an antisocial game because MMOs try and, like, put you into lobbies and push you together. We're firing everyone across the universe. They'll probably never see each other. But there is the ability to communicate and work with other people. But if you want to, I won't go into loads of the details, but if you want to think about games that I really admire would be like Journey and how it does it, Dark Souls and how it does multiplayer. You know, those are games that experience for me is really fitting. Right.
Yeah. So many questions in here. How many? Let's talk about the creatures for a second.
Okay.
I know the answer to this, but a lot of people have been asking about it. So in terms of the creatures, some folks are asking how many creatures are there.
Right.
Obviously, you have this procedurally generated world. The animals and the ecology, is that the same situation? Will there be massive flying beasts, massive underwater beasts?
What we do is we create like a genus of a creature, right?
Okay.
So it is built. It's built out of it's almost like building something out of clay, right? So we build a creature and we will build, say you build a cat, okay? When you build a cat, it's almost like the tech that we've built, I'll describe it this way. You know Tony Hawk's,
yes,
right? When you would create a skater.
Can't wait to see where this one goes.
Yeah. You create a skater or like in Tiger Woods or whatever, and you could move all the sliders.
Yeah.
And you would create any variation thereof. So imagine that we're doing that for everything. So for every tree, for every building, ship, everything.
Mountain.
Right.
So us as players, we're not creating any ecology in this game.
No.
Yeah.
But what's happening is that one of our artists will create a cat, but by doing that, they'll also create a lion and a tiger and a panther and every variant of that four-legged creature that that walks in that way. But like continuing on that to be as mutated as you can possibly imagine it.
So it sounds a bit like Spore in the terms of sliders. Will there be any sort of massive penis monster? Like inevitably, if you're going to name all the sliders,
to discover.
Somewhere out there is a massive penis monster. All right.
This is always where your mind goes.
You know me, Sean. How's the rest of your E3 looking? What are you going to be doing? Showing off any more gameplay anytime soon?
We're kind of like, we're not on the show floor, just because it's a weird game for people to just come up and play.
Just play that for a million hours and see nothing. All right, well, Sean Murray, it's always a pleasure to have you on, friends.
Thanks
Great to see someone from back home as well, as ever.
Cheers.
We're going to do an interview later on today for next big game on GameSpot.com. Ask you guys a bunch more questions about No Man's Sky. Have a great E3, buddy. Thanks very much for coming on again.
Thanks a lot, man.
E3 stage, Samsung stage here continues. We've got Counter Spy, Little Big Planet 3, and Battlefield Hardline coming up. But right now, here's a mashup of what happened at Microsoft's press conference yesterday.